On today's episode of the Soul Sanctuary podcast, I welcome one of my oldest friends. Chris, Hanna, and I have known each other since we were 3 years old, and he does slip in this episode and reveals our age. So it's been a long time since I have known Chris. Chris is a maverick. He's a trailblazer. He's a true visionary for solopreneurs. If you're an entrepreneur, solopreneur, starting your own business, this episode is for you. In this episode, we talk all about Chris's groundbreaking company, Hire For Me. Chris is on a mission to liberate solopreneurs from the overwhelming role of chief everything officer. He's redefining the hiring process, making it accessible and efficient for business owners like never before. But that's not all. Chris started another new business just recently called All In Content, and it is a game changer. It empowers entrepreneurs to secure months worth of content with just a single day of batch creation. That's a lot of time saving for us entrepreneurs. And this type of mentality is a testament to how innovative Chris is and the thinking that he has behind everything he does. But beyond business, Chris extends his expertise to coaching, consulting, and speaking engagements. But there's also a unique twist to Chris's story. Chris also is a semi-professional gambler, and he uses his intuition to do it. He's not afraid to make strategic risks, and he's a firm believer in the power of going all in to manifest his dreams. Check out this episode. It will light you up. It will inspire you to get creative, to listen to your intuition, and to, more importantly, have fun in life. Perfect. On today's Soul Sanctuary podcast, I would really love to introduce my dear friend, one of my oldest friends, Chris Hanna. Chris Hanna is an all-in solopreneur. He is an entrepreneur, a maverick in building solar enterprises and empower other business owners to gain time back and win. Through his innovative company, Hire For Me, Chris liberates solopreneurs from the exhaustive role of CEO, Chief Everyone Officer, by spearheading their hiring process. Meanwhile, his latest company, All In Content, enables entrepreneurs to secure months worth of video content with just a single day of batch creation. Beyond these businesses, Chris extends his expertise through coaching, consulting, and speaking while skillfully navigating the world of semi-professional gambling. He is on a transformative journey, documenting his year-long venture in his YouTube series, Pushing 40, where he's going all in to elevate his wealth, health, and self en route to his 40th milestone. Chris believes in the power of going all in and taking strategic risks while manifesting his way to being this authentic, bold, and confident self. Welcome, Chris.
Thanks, Melissa, for having me on the show. I'm excited to be here.
I'm so excited to have you here. I have one question. Like I said, I don't plan a lot of questions because I love it to flow, but my one question for you is, what lights your soul up? What gets you up in the morning? What gets you excited for life? What fuels you? What's that one thing? Or is there a few things?
For me, I think it's a combination of a few things. I kind of call it like my 3 Fs. And I'm not going to drop an F bomb here when I say this, but like I mean by like I'm looking for like financial freedom, which kind of gets me up and going. I'm looking for flexibility in the sense that I want to do things my way on my time, like when I want. And the last one would be fulfillment. At the end of the day, I just want to be happy. To me, that's what success is all about. And so if I can find ways that I can lean into each of those three things, with the freedom, the flexibility, and really feeling fulfilled, then that's what gets me going.
Do you have like, so I have something similar, but do you have like a little checklist that you do at the end of a day? Did I do something from each category? And if you did, you can lay your head on the pillow and be like, yeah, that was a good day.
Nothing like structured from that perspective. I've really come to realize that like I am not as structured as I used to be, I think in some way. Like I just sit there and I try and figure out, did I do like a good day? Did I try my best? I think at the end of the day, and the feeling, because of the gambler in me, I say, did I win? Did I win in some aspect of my life, personally, professionally, whatever it's going to be? If I did, I'm okay. And if I lose, I'm okay too, because I don't really see it as losing. I see it as, hey, I just got set up, I learned a lesson for next time that I can actually win when the opportunity comes.
Absolutely. I just read, I'm going to grab it in a book this morning, which I think you would really like this book. Psycho-Cybernetics is what it's called. And it talks all about reforming your self-image when you're feeling like, when you're feeling like a failure, when you feel like you don't have success, or when you've hit your plateau of success and you want to grow even more. So the line I read that I think you'll love is it's from Mrs. Thomas Edison talking about her husband. She said that he would often say, no, I'm not discouraged, because every wrong attempt discarded is another step forward. And I think that as a society, we've lost that. There's so many people, entrepreneurs, solopreneurs, that freeze because they're so scared to fail. When if it's not failing, it's failing forward in a direction that you're wanting to go, but you're not going to get it, not always in the first attempt. And I think I
Absolutely
love
not.
that you think that way too.
Yeah, like I sit there and I look back like over my career. Like if I look at even the last 20 years or so of my career, I was fired twice at different stops throughout my journey. And that was some of the best things that ever happened for me. And I look at, whether it's starting, different side hustles or certain businesses, and, having some success and maybe some not having success, whether it worked out or not, or bad shit happened, at the end of the day, it all led me to where I am today. And there's going to be ups, there's going to be downs, there's going to be times where I'm going to say, oh my God, fuck it. Like I want out of this. But I think it's all just part of that journey. And so to me, it's a fun ride to be on when there's just always something new going on. And I'm always just trying to push it. If I could go back in time, I'd kick my own ass and I would say, hey, you know what? You should probably just go for it earlier in your career than what I did, in terms of just trying to be truly like my true authentic self. Because I think I tried to play it safe. And I think a lot of people are guilty of that.
Yes, absolutely. I love that your life motto is go all in. How do you separate the go all in from, maybe others would take that as like a perfectionism thing, when I don't think that's what you're going for? But how do you separate that? Like you want to go all in, but remove that burden that perfectionism can give you.
I don't know if I'm going to answer it how you're asking it, but like I look at all in as like it's a binary black or white choice. It's either all in or fold. Okay. So either I'm going to do it or I'm not going to do it. That's where it becomes that decision. I doesn't have to be perfect. I just have to win more times than I lose. That's what really matters, right? And I think there's times where I went down the perfectionist path through different parts of my career, and I realized it actually causes more strain and pain than anything else. It maybe frustrates other people when I led different teams. If I was the perfectionist at that time, it was brutal for them. So I look at what I do now, and it's like sometimes I've now realized that good is good enough. All in doesn't mean 100% perfect. It just means you're deciding to do something, because I think far too many people sit on their hands and they don't do anything. they don't take action. I'm just about like, just do it. Just try. But I don't want to use the term just do it. Because obviously that's somebody else's phrase. But I'll say
Sorry,
go
we
all
don't
in.
have that trademarked. We
I
don't
don't
have
have
that.
that. No.
I also read something today, which I found super intriguing, was that Babe Ruth, for the longest time, we all know this, that he held the title of most home runs, but he also consecutively at the same time held the title for the most strikeouts.
Mm.
And to me, that was like, he just went it, he went up and he gave it his all, whether he struck it out of the park or struck out. Like he just showed up every day, played the game, which you could equate that to life. Like just show up every day, play the game of life, give it your all. Did you strike out today? Great. Do you know what? Tomorrow might not be a strikeout. Tomorrow you might smoke it out of the park. And just
Yeah.
to give that momentum for yourself.
I completely agree with you. Like I think the thing that's like important to know, and you know this is someone who also coaches people, is that it's those people who kind of take action that are ultimately going to win the game at whatever they're doing. Far too many people that I've coached, have maybe not moved forward for some reason. Like they've not said, like they're like, oh yeah, I hear you, but then they don't take action. Well, it's like those who take action and win matter. Like people ask me all the time, Chris, you share like 99% of like everything that you do. Like you're sharing everything for free on social media. Why do you do that? Because I say 99% of people don't take action. It's that 1% of people who do follow and listen that are going to win. So it's like, yes, you can win, you can lose. You really lose if you do nothing. You have to put yourself out there and you got to do something. And so, yeah, you might have the most amount of strikeouts, but you could also have the highest amount of home runs too by just being out there.
Right. Yeah. Just showing up. So tell me about the semi-professional gambling. How did that start for you? What has that yielded for you? And three-part question, what has that taught you about life?
So it started for me when I went to university. I went to Brock University in St. Catharines, so very close to Niagara Falls. So, the guys I lived with said, hey, Chris, do you want to play poker one night? I said, I don't know how to play. As I started playing it and I won that night of, playing poker, I realized, oh, it's a pretty fun game. It's like, it's not just luck, right? Like there's skill, there's reading people, reading situations. And so I kind of started to do that and I started to play other games and you know me since I was as a kid, like I love playing games. So
Yes,
like that gamification piece that I think is kind of where gambling has been always part of it. And so I come to realize over the decades that, I'm not really averse to risk of any sort. Like I've got no problem of, if I lose money, I figure I'll find a way to gain it back. Like the universe will deliver. I'm a big
yes.
believer though that I can manifest what I want. And so when I go and gamble with other people or they see what I do, they're like, how did you pick those numbers? I'm like, I saw them in my head. Like I focused on it and I would turn that into reality. A few weeks back, I turned $200 into 10 grand in an hour and a half just playing online. Right. And, my biggest win I've ever did was 108,000 in a 24-hour period. And that's just playing roulette, which is the worst odds you can have. Yes, you got to get lucky. And I think part of life is luck, but I also just manifested. I'm like, I'm looking for that number. I'm looking for 7, because that's my birthday number, right? Or I'm looking for 15, my wife's number, whatever it is. Like that stuff happens when you put it out there into the universe and you have the clarity of focus, it unlocks something. And then I find that I use those gambling skills throughout business all the time. And because I got married in Vegas, our wedding rings say all in on them as well. I started to realize I'm like, I go all in every aspect of my life. There's gambling at everything that I do. Walking across the streets a gamble sometimes, like, right? It's like life is a gamble. Might as well just embrace it and have fun with it too.
That's amazing. I, first of all, side note, I saw that video. You created a reel about that, how you turned $200 to, what was it again? How
It was
much?
10,000. 10,000 in
10,000.
an hour and a half. Yeah.
And to listen to you play. And I think I commented, but it took me back. I felt like a kid again watching you and your brothers play. I think we used to just play Mario or something like that. And you go all out, all in when you game. And it's been that way since you were little. And it makes me so happy that it still makes you feel that way, because I think that helps when you release kind of this adulthood that we've created in our lives, and we find that connection to having fun, surrendering whether you win the money or you lose the money. So you take that pressure off. And then you said, see it in your mind, and then you feel it. There's a connection there for you. So you get really calm and you see it. And then when you see it, you feel it. And then it's like instant now. You're getting so good at manifesting and turning those numbers into actual financial substance.
Yeah. I think the manifestation piece, like you and I've talked about this before, like off camera, like in another instance, right? Where it's like, it is such a powerful tool. Like I knew a couple of weeks ago that I was going to hit $10,000. I saw it in my head. I just knew it. And I'm like, I'm sitting here and I'm like, I'm just going to put $200 into this account online and I'm going to play it, win or lose, whatever happens. But I kept thinking, I got a feeling, and I'm not trying to sing a song here, but like, I got a feeling literally. And I was like, I'm going to hit. And then I make it, 1,300 and I play another game and then I hit 6,000 and I'm like, okay. And I play a couple more that I didn't have on camera that gets me up to 10,000. I was like, oh, that's great. And then I didn't release a video, but then a week later I did it again. So it's like, it's just when I have the feeling, you got to kind of lean into it and go all in. I think you said the word pressure, just like about a minute ago, which is, I think is important too. If you're feeling the pressure and you're chasing it, it's never going to work out too. That's the thing I think to keep in mind, right? Like, I'm not advocating people just to go and spend money that they don't have and they shouldn't have and that they're so desperate for it. That's not a thing. I had people reach out after. It's like, oh, can you gamble for me? And it's like, no, that's not how it works.
Yeah, right.
Right.
Exactly. Because the feeling is the secret. And I teach all of my clients that when we talk about manifesting what you want, the feeling is the secret. And so that feeling that you get is this intuitive hit that lights you up a little bit, that it just feels different from if you're sitting on the couch watching a movie or working away at something. It's just this like rush is how I describe it, of knowingness, right? Like just this knowing, and you're able to use it for your gambling advantage.
I use it in business too, though.
Right, exactly. Other people can use it in other ways. We just don't know ourselves enough, a lot of us, that we can't connect to that feeling. And then when there is a feeling, I know many of my clients, there's this second guessing that comes immediately after. And it's like it's stopping them. There's this wall that stops them from taking the next step, right? Maybe they would be able to do what you do. In fact, everyone can do what you do, but they harbor it a bit. They just like,
I think what holds people back is actually like a lot of their mindset and their brain overthinking and overanalyzing everything. I've always said that your gut is smarter than your brain. And maybe that's not true when it comes to food, but like your first instinct honestly is most often the right instinct. So when you get that weird feeling that like, okay, either something's wrong or something's going to go really good, lean into it. Once you let your brain overtake things and overthink it, you just become like a little bit more ineffective because then you're slower. You're not making decisions as quick as you can. You're wasting time. So like, I think trust your gut more than your brain.
Absolutely. Yeah. I always say to my clients, choose the thought before the thought. So when you have a thought, pick that one. It's the other thoughts that come in right after that, like whether, like you said, whether it's a keeping you safe or keeping you moving forward thought, we all go, oh, but maybe I'm this, or maybe I shouldn't that. Ignore those ones. What was the very first thought? I know so many people who settle, because they think it's like the right thing to do, or the most practical thing to do, or the safest thing to do, right? They settle in relationships, they settle in business endeavors, they settle in places to live, they settle in all kinds of areas of their lives, and they've become so used to doing that that they can't even listen to that gut instinct anymore, which, by the way, we're all born with that for a reason.
Yeah.
And you have harnessed it not just for gambling, but for your businesses too. You have these two main businesses, but you have a lot of other things that go on, all because there were some gut instincts that started, and you went with it.
Well, I think it's like the gut instincts, and it comes back to your first question as well. Like for me, it comes back to that fulfillment piece more than anything else too. It's like I realized that like well, we're both I'm gonna age you here. We're both gonna be 40 next year.
Oh, so
Hope that was
mean.
hope that was okay to do that.
You asked me,
Um
you asked me before this if it was okay if you swear, and I said yes. You should have asked me if it's okay if I drop the other F bomb, the 40.
yeah, sorry about that. So okay, I'm gonna be 40, you're gonna be 29 with 11 years experience.
You are right. Yeah.
So I think about being happy and how
Mhm.
much I saw. Well, I'm gonna get vulnerable here and hope I don't cry. That my dad was very miserable throughout his entire career. He would say the same line every single day. How was work today? And I would say, and he would always say, long, hard, and boring. I hated that. And I thought, that's what work is. I don't want that. And when I started to realize I'm feeling that way, I had to make a shift and I had to decide, you know what? I think I'm happier being a solopreneur or an entrepreneur and having multiple interests than just doing one thing that I absolutely hated doing. I don't want to sit there and work till I'm 60, 65 and hate it. And I also like realize that life is very precious and you only have so much time. I think you get maybe one chance here. So I'm just going to go all in on what I want to do. And if people don't like it, sounds bad. Like I don't care because I just want to be happy personally first, and my wife be happy and family be happy. That's what I care about.
Yeah. Yeah. What your story resonates. My dad was the same. I don't remember exactly what he'd say. It was probably more like, oh, it was all right. Right? With no excitement. Same with my mom. Like, that's very typical of their generation,
Yeah.
which is fine because they were just doing the best with the knowledge they had passed down to them, right? But as our generation, there's this element, and I also see it in generations following us. There's this the element about the fulfillment piece. Like you said, we don't really know if we get more trips around this earth, like if we get to come back and do it again in a different body, whatever. We don't know for sure. So take it now and make every day fulfilling.
That's right.
Why are we wasting days, weeks, months, years in jobs that drain us and stress us out, or not having proper conversations with people because we're worried it's going to hurt feelings or diminish relationships or what have you? Like, why are you not just living and enjoying? Because it really, I think at the end of the day, and again, getting vulnerable, watching my dad leave this world for me was like, holy crap, it doesn't even matter. None of this stuff we're stressing about matters. Like he got to go and take his last breath, and he was gone. And as sad as it was so peaceful. And I thought, oh, what are we doing here? Like, what is the
Yeah.
stress about? Because it really, why are we not just enjoying all elements, the good? Because there's going to be lots of good, and there's going to be lots of not so good, but to just dive into that and experience it with
Yeah.
with joy is yeah, I think that's important for all of us to kind of shift it around here, frankly.
I think that the biggest thing that you actually you don't want to live with regret. I think that's what it really comes down to for me. Is like I forget where I saw it or I read it or something like that, but it was like I was in the corporate world in 2018. I was miserable and I had thought when I'm 127 years old, hopefully, and I'm, about to leave this world, I don't want to look back and think, man, I wish I could have done X, Y, Z, whatever it's going to be. And I was like, I don't want to live a life of regret. And you don't know. Maybe I'm not making it to 127, probably not. But like, so I think I gotta do what I can while I can. And yeah, it might be risky. People sit there and they tell me all the time, I can't believe you're so crazy for going and like leaving a job and being a CEO of a company and then leaving and starting your own businesses and running all over doing all this crazy stuff. To me, I'm like, I want to do what I can. Like I want to live on my terms.
Yes. Yeah. And how freeing that is. I said that to somebody yesterday. I woke up and I had a really bad headache. I think the hot weather and then it's about to turn got me. And I said to my friend, you know what I'm grateful for in this moment is that I don't have a boss that I have to text and say, oh, I'm not coming in today because I'm the boss. The only person I'm letting down is me. And it felt really freeing to just have a day of rest after several days of not resting.
Right.
Go, go, go.
Like
Um,
having your own control as your own as your own boss, to use that term, um, is amazing. Like I try not to as much as possible take any meetings on Fridays.
yeah.
And people are like, "Oh, why do you do that?" I'm like, "Because I believe in kind of a lighter workload if I'm doing this." I'm like, I hated the idea of doing that. So I think that's like I keep certain days that I protect now my time because again, time is very important to me. And I don't want to sit there and do stuff I don't want to do. So I have to get still, I think, better at saying no, because I think I say yes sometimes to way too many things and distractions, but protect yourself, do what you want. And if you need to take a break, take a break. Like for me, I love playing video games or watching wrestling. So like I will sit down and I will do that. That's my go-to thing, right? So you just got to find what works for you.
I feel like as much as you've grown up in life, I still love that that element of you is still within you.
Oh, I'm still a kid at heart. Like I sit there and I look in the mirror and I feel like I still see that 5-year-old kid who's like trying to get on the bus to go to Elma Township Public School. I feel like I'm still that kid at my heart. Um, I don't like at times my body feels older and slower and like, wow, that knee cracked, whatever, right? But like I don't look at myself and think, well, I got 40 years of on this planet. Like I feel like I'm still young.
That's beautiful. I love that. I love that mostly because I talk a lot again to my clients about touching with their inner child, doing the things that that kid used to love to do without inhibition, without judgment of yourself, right? Like play a video game or watch wrestling or get together with your brothers every once in a while and make wrestling happen again. Like,
Yeah. Yeah,
right?
me,
Like,
Nicholas, and Thomas doing all that stuff, right? Like it's
yeah,
childish, probably to our significant others thinking that, but that's what we do. And like we think back to like when we were kids, I loved acting. I
yes.
loved doing all the public speaking. So now I get an opportunity to do that by creating like 100 videos in a day with myself or other clients or whatever it's going to be. I get to go back to what I used to love as a kid and now do it and make some money doing it too at the same time.
Money, yeah, get paid for it.
Yeah.
And I think there's something to be said about that for all of us. Tapping into some of those innate talents you had as a kid. They're there for a reason. They're just you came into this world with those talents. And then we grow out of them or we don't think they're cool. Like I remember you telling me once that you wish you had stayed with the theater stuff or with the acting stuff through high school, but didn't because it wasn't cool. And then slowly you shelved it and not forgot, but just chalked it up to some other part of your life that you didn't utilize. And then finally, you took it off the shelf, you dusted it off and said, no, this is really something here. I was supposed to do something with this. Right. And I find that with a lot of my clients, they reach for a paintbrush again, or they start writing again, or they start like myself. I also was a speaker and an actor. That's probably why we were such close friends. That was like that just lit me up. And the thought of it all still very much does. And I did the same, took it off the shelf and was like, can I do something with this? This is mine. Let's roll.
I think far too many people, and I was guilty of it for a long time, live their life for others. And by that, I
Mhm.
mean like they're worried about how they're going to be perceived, or they think, well, this is what I'm supposed to do. I'm supposed to play it safe. I'm supposed to go get that corporate job, the work the 9 to 5, do whatever it's going to be, just keep my head down. I don't know why I went into that, but I'm sure I am glad that I got out of it. But just there's the it's like, and this is kind of weird, and I don't know if I'm gonna say this right, but it's like I think back to the stretch of my career where I was basically faking it and pretending to fit in. I don't remember that much anymore because I've now leaned so far into being my true authentic self that the part of like that I absolutely hated, I mostly feel like I've blocked that part out of my life. Where it was like, I remember being a kid and I remember a couple things here and there, but all the stuff that I absolutely hated, I'm like, you know what? Why am I even holding on to that baggage? Let that stuff go and just enjoy all the stuff that's really fun now.
That's beautiful, really. I think that so many people would love to be able to do that. Release it, forget it, move away from it, because I think there's a lot of people still drudge it up or simmer on it and be like, well, but I was this, or
Well,
should
I
I?
look at it like when you're going to the airport, right? And like you say you got your family with you, like you're trying to get to your gate before that plane flies off. You're carrying maybe some bags and stuff with you. Well, those things weigh you down. Sometimes you got to drop the baggage of the past in order to really move forward at the speed that you need. And so that's what I think I've done is like I've let go and I've shed this past image of who I was and what I thought I needed to be, and I'm getting my gate. I'm gonna get there early of where I want to go in my life because I've let go of the crap that was holding me back.
Get there early, get a coffee,
Chill
read a
out,
magazine, chill out.
maybe gamble on my phone and see if it
Yeah.
happens, right? Whatever it is, it's just like let go of the crap from the past.
It
It does you no good.
doesn't. It weighs you
If you're driving
down.
a car, you don't look behind you in the rearview mirror the whole time you're driving. You look forward.
There's a reason that rear view is smaller.
That's right.
That's right. So tell me about your journey that you are documenting on YouTube.
Yes.
You're pushing 40. I don't know what it's like to push 40, buddy. I'm really sorry that that's happening to you.
Yeah. So my mom, my mom,
Yeah.
she had a conversation with me, I don't know, probably like 6 months ago or something like that. And she said something on the phone. My wife heard it, saying something like, Christopher, you're pushing 40. You got to kind of get yourself back into, shape, get more active and all that stuff. And she kind of was like, not nagging on me, but like, I apologize, mom, because I know you'll hear this and I know you'll watch this. Um, but like, she kind of said the words pushing 40. And so my wife and I are going for our walks along the river here. And she's like, pushing 40, like there's something there with that. I'm like, yeah, like I kind of want to take a pause on like my podcast stuff and I want to go into more YouTube. And I just want to like hold myself accountable to be better in a variety of different areas. And so Raquel, my wife, says, well, you're trying to improve your health, your wealth, and really your overall self. And I'm like, well, that rhymes. I like that. So why don't we start to document everything? And I said, I'll kick it off on August 7th, so my birthday, and I'll do a whole year, every week, new episode. Um, be open and honest and real about what's good, what's bad, what's happening. See if I can try and find a way to be balanced. I can tell you 8 weeks in at this point where we're recording at this date, it's challenging. Like, yes, on like the wealth side, it seems to be the more I've focused on it and been intentional, I'm having my best months yet. The health side, I was like, "Ooh, I'm losing weight," and then I go and I travel to Florida and I do a video shoot and I eat out every single day. All that weight I lost, I gained back. So it's like it's up and down. And I'm trying to be a better husband. That's the whole thing on the overall self. So it's an accountability piece, I think, for me, and just being open and real with anybody who watches or stumbles across it in some way too.
Yeah, that's beautiful. I love that you said it's like it's up and down. That represents life though. So lovely. I find that if you aren't intentional in all facets, kind of all at once, going all in using your mantra, um, the parts that you lose intention on, like you said, you went to Florida and you ate out all the time, and you probably didn't kind of prep that for yourself, so then the weight comes back.
Right.
If you let off the gas a little bit with the wealth stuff, you'd probably see other areas pick up. It's about it's about having an and life, and you absolutely can do it, right? Like you get to have everything that you want. You just have to be intentional and persistent in all of the areas.
I think
I,
the hard part is the balance piece though, right? Like I
yes,
think it's very easy for me to like zero in on one particular area, so say the business front, but then at the expense of the health side. So what I
mm-hmm.
think is great is that the people who are watching it, then they're sometimes holding me accountable by either sending me a message or like, again, I'll pick on my mom again. Mom picks up the phone. She says this 2 nights ago, and she's like, "So Christopher, I've been watching all your videos, and the last couple of videos, I noticed you look a little tired and you look a little stressed out." I was like, God damn it, mom. I'm like, all right. So now I gotta like think about that. So then Raquel and I are having a conversation, and it's like, okay, well, let's make some changes then, because clearly maybe it's someone's picking something up, and maybe it's mom who sees it, but it's like,
Mom knows it all. Mom
but I'm
knows
like,
she
I gotta make
knows.
an adjustment, right? And so
Yep.
I think that's that's an interesting part. The other hard part I think is this is like, if you're sitting there and you got a camera on the whole time and recording things, what do you record? What don't you record? Is
Mm-hmm.
also like a thing that I sometimes I'm like, oh, I should have recorded that and I wasn't thinking, because not everyone feels comfortable being on camera too. So you're trying to be respectful for everybody else around you while also holding yourself to that standard as well.
Right. Yes. And how do you do that? And how do you keep it? It's like a teeter totter, right? Like how do you keep it almost neutral
Yeah.
in all zones versus wealth's going through the roof and now my health is going like this. And because I
Well, yeah.
truthfully, that's something that I always, those two avenues in my life have always done this, right? Like, if my health was really crummy, my money situation was great, but most of the time my health was really crummy. Well,
Right.
now my health is amazing, and I've started a business and I'm spending a lot of money on that business. Well, guess what's happening a lot of the time, and I find going circling back to what we said about just surrendering, allowing yourself to take the pressure off, just making kind of a blank statement about everything, right? I am healthy, I am wealthy. Mine are I am happy, I am whole. Those are my like four that I say every day. And just living from that, I find it allows me to surrender that control that I want for my wealth and my health, especially. Like I chokehold them a lot. And if I just say all I want to do is be happy in those areas, it allows me to just to release, and then guess what happens? I manifest the happiness in those areas without driving the ship really hard, or gripping the wheel, I guess we could say.
Yeah, like for me, it's like I realized, especially this week after the mom comment, um,
Thanks, Mom.
that yeah, thanks, mom. Always. Yeah, thanks, mom, for everything. But like for me, it's like, okay, so if balance is out of whack, what can I do to improve that? And as much as I call myself the all-in solopreneur, I've now come to realize, well, maybe I need to bring in and either subcontract work out or to hire people to give me time back so I can focus on the health side. And it was like such a kick in the ass realization that, okay, I actually have to do that. I am not a superhero as much as I want to be or sometimes pretend to be, and I can't do it all. And as much as I have a hiring company and I help people like hire, and I was unwilling to do it myself. And now I've made the decision to do that. And so working on that this week now. But it's like, it's unreal. I'm like, I can't believe that like I was trying to do it all myself. So I feel like moving forward, that balance will come, which is great because I needed it. And so I appreciate again, love you, mom. That's it's for the comment on the whole looking tired stress thing. But it I think you have to listen to other people sometimes, and I'm guilty of not doing it, but I'm trying to be better at it.
I think it's really funny that we coach people, both of us, and sometimes forget to coach ourselves on what we're coaching people, right? Like it is really ironic that you own a business that hires people for other people and didn't think, oh, maybe that should help me as well. Because truthfully, when you start your own business and as it grows and as it develops, it's like raising a child, really. It's seeing the onset happen, seeing it come to life, seeing it grow, and then
Being
having
disappointed
to
in it
kind
sometimes.
of give it a pep talk, like disappointed that you did that, right? Ground it maybe for days. But it really is hard to give up certain controls when it starts to take off.
Yeah.
Just like I find that right now with my son, he's 12. He's in grade 7. Like, can you remember grade 7? I remember us in grade 7. Holy moly. And
I
he,
do, but yeah.
yeah, and he's growing and it's scaring the ever loving out of me because again, I remember Melissa in grade 7, grade 8, grade 9, and onwards. And I'm having to relinquish the control of the way I used to mom,
Yeah.
the way I used to parent. It's totally changing. And the same happens for business. When it starts to grow and take off, it's no longer just your baby. The world steps in and you have to give up parts to help keep it growing. Like I don't get to be there 24/7 as he goes out with friends or goes to hockey games at the arena, and I don't get to huddle in the conversations that these 12, 13-year-old boys are having. Like, oh, I wish I could, but
Yeah.
I don't. And I have to let it go. And I have to believe that I built the foundation to let him flourish, just as I'm building the foundation of a business to help it flourish when other people come in to support.
Yeah.
Support.
And I think like there's a little bit of, again, it is your baby. So like when it comes to a business, it's hard to let go. I've never considered myself a micromanager, but like when it's your own thing, it's like it's my name against it. It's all my money that's like put into the business. I want to make sure it's done right or done to like the standard that I hope is like what I'm trying to sell to clients, right? And so the idea of trying to hire someone, I never really wanted to even consider it. And then when I come to this realization, well, I need to in order to gain time back to be actually more effective personally, professionally, take it to the next level. I was like, well, I gotta, I need someone I can trust. And who do I trust more than my wife? So she's joining the business to help me. And in addition to, expanding with another person after that too. So I'm like, I think it's also just like picking the right person who can help you. And I think like my wife is very different than me. So she has different skill sets that I certainly don't have. And so this will be an interesting journey for us. Like we're all in on this together now. That's just also a scary thing. Like, okay, it's all now it's that's everything. But see how it works. How can a husband wife go all in together with a company called All In Content and just see what happens, right? It'll be fun, and I'm sure we'll document the journey as well. And she doesn't like being on camera as much as me, but we'll see if we can change that.
She's behind the scenes harping at you.
Yeah, maybe something like that.
Tell me more about your business, All In Content. I find it so fascinating the amount of content you can create in record time for people. And I want you to tell a bit about how that started, because I know that it was probably back in January, the last time we talked, that you made a crazy amount of videos in the
Yeah.
span of 24
Well,
hours.
so within 4 hours,
Yeah.
within 4 hours, I made 143 videos, for social media. And so at the time I was with a content coach, and he had said to me at 8 a.m. in our meeting that we had, he's like, what's your plan for today? And I said, I'm going to shoot 50 videos. And he's like, no way. No one shoots 50 videos. I don't like being told no, or like, so you can't do something. So I turned it into a game. And I did 50, and then I did 100, and then I stopped at 143 because I'm like, I'm kind of tired after 4 hours. So I created all these videos and I started sharing a little bit about that I did this many. And then people just started asking me questions like, hey, you know, how did you do it? Why did you do it? Because you're insane. And so as I'm starting to get more people asking, then some people were like, hey, can you do that for me? And so then I'm like, sure. Like it's not a formal business because I have the hiring business I'm trying to focus on. People are asking all this content stuff. And then I'm coaching a lot of entrepreneurs, and they're starting to ask me all sorts of content questions as well. I'm like, okay, so everyone's asking content questions. I got people asking me to batch record content with them. I'm like, maybe I should turn this into something. And I'm like, I just kept plowing away at it. And I start getting more and more customers throughout the summer. And I've officially launched the company now and called it All In Content. So all the corp, everything's all assigned. But I've been doing it for 6 months and behind the scenes, which has been really cool. And I've got clients in like different businesses, whether it's plumbing and property management or bookkeeping. I've had roofing clients. I was down in Florida for somebody who's got Airbnbs that they're trying to put together down there. And so we're shooting anywhere from like 50 to a couple hundred videos over a session, which is incredible. Yesterday, I shot 98 videos with somebody in 3 hours. Like, there's prep work that goes into it. Obviously, like, hey, what are we going to talk about? Let's plan out the shoot. And then it's really like just go. And I coach them along the way. And we have fun doing it. I was editing videos today and I'm like watching, I'm like, I'm going to make a blooper reel for this one client because it is funny as ever when she's making mistakes and screwing up and swearing and losing it. And I'm like, this will play really well on social media.
Yeah.
All In Content is focused on 4 core areas, though. It's video batch creation, which is the main primary service. I'm also managing social media accounts and scheduling that for folks as well. So I do that for a number of businesses right now. I'm going to be doing more events and workshops for people to teach them a lot of what I've learned, especially people trying to build their own personal brand, because again, I've cultivated this and built this around for myself. And then also creating more digital content as well. So whether it's lead magnets, whether it's working on people's websites as part of it, I'm starting to build that out, and with the team also coming in to help support that. So really trying to be all in this content creation space. And because I call myself the all-in solopreneur, I decided to call it All In Content.
It's so cool that you took just something that happened for yourself, shared it, and now look at it.
Right.
Right. And sometimes that's like the best way of things unfolding for us. Sometimes it's something that we needed or we did, and we just kind of leisurely share it, maybe on social, maybe with a friend, and it just takes off.
I think it's also because like I enjoy it. I'm just having fun doing it that it starts to take off. And I think people pick that up, which I think is pretty cool. Like if I look at like the freelance stuff that I did before making it official and existing customers that I have, I'm like, it's already in year one a 6-figure business, which is fantastic. And kind of like, you know, it's a kind of a stat you don't normally see right away out of the gate from somebody who's just trying to do it on their own. So I'm like, it's pretty cool. Like I'm having a hell of a time doing it, and I love it so much.
Amazing. Do you find it more your passion than the hire for me? Not that you want to be like, All In Content's my favorite kid.
No, I'm gonna say that. I'll say that. Yeah, it's my favorite kid right now. I think that there's nothing wrong with favoritism, to be honest.
Okay, let's ask your mom who her favorite kid is. We'll see how
It's definitely me, 100%. At least I think it is. It should be. But like, and this is something that somebody asked me. They said, okay, so because I've got obviously the coaching side, which I don't talk about a lot, or the consulting stuff, and hire for me, and then I've got All In Content. I think because All In Content is such a creative outlet for me, which I felt like it's kind of bottled up. To me, it is 100% now the favorite moving forward. And it's going to be the priority company that I'm focusing on. Like, yes, if people want me to hire for them, absolutely, I can do that. And I can arrange through team members to do that as well. That's no problem. I can do it. And I love interviewing people. Like, again, I've been talking a lot here. I love talking, but I love asking people questions. And I think I'm really good at doing that. But to me, I think I'm better at even being creative. And so that's what I think priority is that. But what's interesting, and I said this to somebody last night, I was at a networking event, I'm like, all my businesses are all around supporting entrepreneurs and business owners at different parts of the journey. And so what's interesting is that people that I've done coaching and consulting with, I've then ended up helping hire for them. And then that have turned into content for them. So it's like, I basically, a lot of the customers I have, they're customers in each of the different businesses because they're like, I just need the full service. And some people have come in and say, I'll buy everything that you have. And it's like, oh, okay, that's cool. And then we'll come up with a custom package and stuff for it as well. Like I think I cover every single aspect of some sort of way. Like your sales and marketing is covered, your HR kind of side is covered, right? The coaching is on the leadership development piece with it. And then you got the consulting, which I'm coming in and I'm looking at a lot of AI with on the consulting front that I do, and you know how to implement certain tools and technology. So covering all that stuff for entrepreneurs. I don't know what else I'd add next. Actually, I do, but like I won't share it yet because I got tons of ideas.
That's you are. You are all in, ready to go package for these entrepreneurs that are maybe just starting out or maybe have been struggling for a long time to get their businesses off the ground. Okay, so I've had a couple little downloads as you were talking. um, you call it all in, and then you said AI, which it's unfortunate that AI is now like a thing because I pictured your business name being something about that, like AI, all in,
Right.
something or other. And I was, oh, it's all coming together so seamlessly for you, which is really quite
I think it's an
interesting.
illusion to say it's seamless, right? Like there's a lot of stuff behind the scenes that like has to go into it. Like as much as people are like, "Oh my God, like you're everywhere," first on social, and then you're just able to throw this stuff together and it's like, "Yeah, but I do a lot of thinking." Right? And like I sit there and I think and I strategize and some of these ideas, like all in content, I've had like the concept of like batch recording I've been doing since 2018. I really obviously had a lot of success this year of doing it, and then it became a business. I never thought I could ever monetize it. Like all my systems and processes and all the ideas I had, I've been doing it for years. I just never realized this is actually an income stream.
It's I was gonna say when you talked about social, let's talk about that for a second because there's been a couple times in the last year and a bit where you've made the conscious decision to go quiet for a while on your social networks. Explain that to me. What is it about that either you need at the time or does it rejuvenate you? What is it about that?
Well, okay, so I would almost consider it like fasting, right? Sometimes you need a reset. And so I think that's part of what's kind of driven some of it. Like there's times where I'm like, okay, I'm so focused on it and you're not seeing maybe the progress. So I know at one point when I went dark, I was like, fuck it, I'm going dark because I'm just not finding any value from what I'm doing right now. I need to like just clear everything out. Another time I was like, I need to reset the algorithm because I'm tired of the crap that's getting pushed my way. It just felt like something's just not working and I'm seeing nothing I want to engage with. And then there's times where like I'm gonna go dark to build. So like instead of being distracted by social media, I'm going to build the stuff that I want in the background and then come back full force. So I think it's depending on what's going on. Um, I have realized and I've learned a valuable lesson though, but every time I've gone dark during that period, business slows down to a crawl.
Mm.
And I was like, oh shit. The first time I did it, I'm like, this is a mistake. And then when I did the second time, I was like, I still have to do it. And when I came back, that's when it's like, oh, I've missed your content. I started getting messages and stuff on like, oh, what's going on? And then business started to take off when it came back. So I'm like, I don't know if it's like a tactic I want to do a lot of, but I think sometimes you just got to stop. Like you got to pause and that's okay.
I agree. I do the same. That's why I asked you that question because I find that sometimes I get stuck in trying to get ideas for myself, but I'm observing other people doing their ideas and then not so much now, but in the past, like the self comparison was happening. And then that was overwhelming, and I wasn't so and so, and na. And then I would go dark for, a week or two to just regain my focus. Last summer, well, especially after my dad passed, I went dark for a while just to kind of regroup in a lot of facets of life. But it's the same. I do find that even now I haven't been posting as much because I've been building and revamping around here some things, but business does mirror the energy that I show up with on social, and it mirrors back the clientele when you actually show up every day for yourself. So do you maybe have advice for people that have that feeling, because sometimes people just need it, right? Like that gut instinct again to just quiet for a moment. Do you have some plans in place, some structure advice that you could give people for when they want to go dark personally, but they could still keep things running?
Yeah, absolutely. And I think this is where, like, as much as I went dark before, I probably didn't need to go dark because I have such a plethora and backlog of content where you can just schedule it and keep it pushing and moving forward. I like when I shot those 143 videos, like I'll admit, like a lot of the stuff you see now is stuff I still shot in January that's going out because I've got so much. Like I shot 2 years worth of content after all that was said and done. I'm shooting tomorrow videos for my all-in content because I haven't shot the batch creation stuff for that. My goal is 215 videos tomorrow is I'm going to shoot.
Oh my gosh.
And like that might be like, oh my God, that's insane. But it's like I'm shooting multiple versions and styles that work across different things. So my advice to people is whatever the number is, I'm insane in terms of how much I'm creating, but like you can create a lot of stuff and then you can schedule it or hire someone else to schedule it just to get it out there so you maintain a presence. You don't need to sit there and post 7 days a week, 10 times a day on a platform. It depends on what platform you want to be on because the algorithm's different. But it's like have a couple of posts a week to make sure people know that you're still kind of around. I think that's the advice that I would give to people.
It's a great tip. And there's so many avenues you can do that with now.
Totally.
And with going back to that AI piece, with that technology, it can eliminate so much time off your plate and even energy off your own plate to get things going. And to, like, there was one day, it was, I don't know how many, an hour and a half, I created 12 weeks of blog content. Yep. It's like, oh. And then from the blog content, I could make videos, I could write and keep it sort of all in a theme for the week based on that alone. So there's so many things nowadays that people can do that aren't going to drain you, especially if you're an entrepreneur, that aren't going to make you feel like, oh, I can't show up, or I don't want to keep doing this, or this is
there's
exhausting.
Tools and resources. I think just people got to use them, really, right? AI, like I love it, but it's only as good as what you put into it. So like if you give it a really shitty prompt and you say like the wrong stuff, you're not going to get good results. So you got to be really good. And I think anybody who's watching this or knows anything about AI or like thinking about, oh, AI is bad, I'm like, the jobs that are going to be out there in the future, like for your son when he gets, to working age, there's going to be jobs about just how to like, manipulate and use AI. So like if you become really good at it, you make a ton of money and you can save yourself a ton of time. Like I figure AI gets you 80% of the way there, you bring it to 20% across.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah. There's a lot of times that I'll get stuff back and I'm like, yeah, but it's not me yet. So then you go in and you edit it and you make it yourself. Like it's not the final, you don't have to have it as the finalized product.
No. But when it's not you, I feed it my stuff. And I say, hey, this is how I write it in this style.
Totally. Yes. Yeah. It did take me a little bit to get my sound, but now it's definitely, sometimes I read it back. I'm like, gosh, did I write this?
Exactly.
This is impressive.
There is times definitely where I'm like, I don't remember writing that. I'm like, maybe I didn't write it. I don't know.
Yeah. So where can people find you, Chris? Where are you located? What are your handles?
Yeah. So main website for all in content is allincontent.ca. But you can find me on LinkedIn. You can find me on YouTube. So at Chris_Hanna is the YouTube page. You can also find me on Instagram, TikTok, Chris Hanna Show, the name of what my podcast was as well. You can find me there too. And if you ever want to just send me an email and talk and chat or anything, you can always just send me an email, chris@allincontent.ca. On my website, you can also just book a chat with me if you want to talk through anything. I'd love to talk and just see if there's any way to help across anything that I'm doing.
Beautiful. I'll put all of those handles in the show notes for everyone. Well, thank you, my friend, one of my oldest friends. We've been friends since we were 3. It is so lovely to be at this stage in our lives and get to connect and still see elements of our youthful selves in each other. And I've really enjoyed today's chat. And
so do I. Thank you for having me on the show, Melissa. I really appreciate it. And I love the fact that we're also very similar in so many ways, but on a similar journey.
yes, I appreciate you. Thanks so much.